In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, if you're a parent, you can hear the despair in Jairus' voice as he falls at the feet of Jesus. He's begging him, "Come quickly, come to my home. My little daughter's at the point of death. Please come, lay your hands on her, as you've done for so many other people. Lay your hands on her that she would live. Please hurry. There isn't much time. She's only 12 years old. Please." So you can sense his fatherly anxiety as the crowds press in on Jesus so he can barely move around through the narrow streets. Progress is slow. Everyone is pushing and shoving to get a close look at Jesus. And then this woman sneaks up behind him. She's suffered much over these 12 years. The physicians have taken all of her money and only made things worse. You might notice in the Gospel of Luke doesn't mention this fact. I suppose this is out of professional courtesy. She'd heard about Jesus. She figured she could grab a little drive-by miracle. If I even touch his garment, I shall be made well. He won't even know I was there. He won't even notice. Jesus did notice. As soon as she touched him, she felt the healing come into her body. Her 12-year illness was gone in an instant. She was healed. At that very same moment, Jesus felt something too. Power had gone out from him. It's as though the lights dimmed for a moment. A sudden weakness came over him. There are no cheap miracles. There are no free, anonymous healings. Each of them is a cost to Jesus. He has the power of God to heal, and when he does, power goes out of him. He has to know where it went. Who touched my garments? This is personal. Jesus will have no anonymous healings. He must see her. He must look her in the eye. He must speak with her. She comes up to him, trembling, shaking, frightened. Who wouldn't be? All the doctors in the world couldn't cure her, and Jesus just simply walks along the road, and she reaches out her hand as so many anonymous people pressing around him, and lightly grazes his garments with her fingertips. And she's healed. It seems easy, but it's not easy for Jesus. He is weakened by it. Power went out from him. Healing comes at a cost. The healing of the world comes with his being wounded to death on the cross. By his wounds, we are healed. I'm sure many people had touched that robe, jostled Jesus, bumped into him, even stepped on his foot. I mean, it's the Middle East, after all. Personal space is at a premium, and the crowd was pressing in around him. He could barely move. The disciples even noted, look at this mob. What do you mean, who's touching me? Everybody is touching you. But not everyone had faith. This woman did. She believed that simply touching his garment would bring her healing. She had faith, and that's what makes her different. That's why her touching Jesus was different. That's why power went out from Jesus. Faith receives what Jesus has to give. All of the other faithless touches were no different from the bumping and shoving that occur on a train in Tokyo or an airport in Beijing. Incidental contact, nothing more than that. That little touch of that fearful woman who wanted only to be healing and not be noticed by the healer. That was different. That was the touch of faith. That was trust. Jesus was all that mattered to her. She trusted him to the point she didn't even want to bother him. Just touch his garment, that's all. She knew that she was considered unclean. No one would want to touch her, but if she could just reach out and touch Jesus, it would all be better. She believed that enough to stalk Jesus in the crowd and risk being caught. And that kind of faith tapped into the power of God in Jesus to heal, to bring life, to restore order and harmony and peace, to cast out demons, to heal the diseases, to turn back the tide of death that washes over all of us. And with a trembling voice, shaking with fear, she confesses everything. And Jesus doesn't scold her. He soothes her. He blesses her. He embraces her as family. Daughter. Daughter, he calls her. Not even the formal woman that he called Mary, his mother, but daughter. Your faith has made you well, saved you. Go in peace, be healed. She believed Jesus. She believed Jesus. Her faith had saved her. Her Jesus had saved her. There's no power in faith except to receive. That's the power. There's no power in faith except to receive. The power is in Jesus. Now, for a moment, imagine Jairus. What's going through his mind? Time is wasting. This exchange is using up precious time. Jesus, this is life or death. Please help me. Some people come from Jairus' home with bad news. Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher anymore? It's too late. She's gone. Those words must have stabbed deep into this father's heart. His precious little girl, dead. And they were so close. He had Jesus by the hand. If it weren't for the crowd and this woman, they might have made it. But now it was too late. She's gone. And then verse 36 is this pivotal moment. Jesus looked straight into the eyes of Jairus, who had just heard that his 12-year-old daughter was dead, and he says, "Do not fear. Only believe." Do not fear. Only believe. Trust. You trusted me with her illness. You trusted me when she was very sick to the point of death. Now trust me with her death. Do not fear. Only believe. Faith is the end of fear. No matter what it is, focus on Jesus. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Trust Jesus. He's the one who died and rose and reigns to save you. Do not fear. Trust. Do not fear. Only believe. He says that to you this morning. Here and now. Do not fear. Only believe. You might be that woman. You might be the woman suffering in chronic illness. Your health care has run out. Your doctors are whittling away at your life savings. You are desperate and alone. Do not fear. Only believe. Maybe you've heard the death sentence from the doctors. You have 6 months. Blew me away. Just last night, I'm hanging out with some friends, and this guy I haven't seen in a while says, "I'm dying of cancer." And we were talking a little bit, and he says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I go to All Saints over in Pasadena." I said, "Guess what? I know what your pastor's preaching on tomorrow," because he's Anglican. So I tell him, "Here's the liturgy, here's your reading." Guess what? I look into his eyes. I say to him, tomorrow's sermon is about this. Don't worry. Have no fear. Just trust. Just trust. Do not fear. Only believe. You might be Jairus. You might be the anguished father. You might be praying for your child to get better. Do not fear. Only believe. Your prayers may go unanswered. You may feel that God has put you on hold and he's interrupted your call with another, and he's put you on call waiting while he deals with someone more important, more urgent, more pressing than your problem. Do not fear. Only believe. You may be in despair. You may be trapped in your own sin. You may be trapped in the sin of others. You may have lost faith in institutions, in your fellow man, in your country. You may be alone in the crowd. You may be isolated and cut off, surrounded by people, yet not connected with any of them. Do not fear. Only believe. Jesus came to save all. He came to save that woman on the road, Jairus and his daughter. He came for all of them, and he came for you too. He came to bring healing from the sickness of sin, to bring order to your disordered life. He came to bring light into the deep recesses of the darkness. He came with you in mind. For the joy of your salvation, he endured the cross. He scorned its shame. In your baptism, he touched you in a way that's very personal. More personal even than the encounter on the road with Jesus, that woman touching Jesus, or that room with Jairus' dead daughter. No, you didn't touch his garment. No, he didn't take you by the hand. He did much more. Jesus baptized you. He clothed you in his righteousness. He gives you his body and blood to eat and drink. His touch doesn't get any more personal than that. The hem of his robe is nothing compared to his body and blood for you. It's the same power, the same life for you. This body and this blood, that's the body and blood that died for you. That's the body and blood that was raised to life again, that conquered death and the grave, that is glorified at the right hand of the Father. This is yours to eat and drink. There's no medicine in the world like this. And had we invented this, the doctors would be rich. But because God gives it, it's largely ignored by the world. Jairus and Jesus came to the house. He took Peter, James, and John. Andrew never gets to go on these things. I don't know why. But everything must be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. And these are the eyewitnesses who swore to their death. They saw it with their own eyes. The mourning had already begun. So the people in Jesus' day, they were very open. They were public with their grief. No quiet, stoic sobs. There was loud weeping and wailing. This was the synagogue ruler's daughter, after all. The whole congregation was there. And Jesus looks over the scene and he says, "Why are you all weeping? She's not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. He had turned their weeping into laughter. But not laughter of joy, laughter of incredulity, of unbelief. They knew dead when they saw it, and this little girl was dead. She was lifeless, not sleeping soundly. Jesus throws everyone out of the house except the girl's father and mother and the 3 disciples. He goes into her bed, he reaches out his hand, and he takes her cold little hand in his, and he says to her, "Talitha cum." Like a dad waking up his daughter for school. Little girl, get up. Arise. And she did. Immediately, she got up, she walked around, and Jesus told them, get her something to eat. She's alive. She has to eat. Rising from the dead apparently creates an appetite. And by the way, don't tell this to anyone. Why not? Why not tell everyone what he has done? Because this is not the way he's going to deal with sickness and death. Not one at a time. You know, the widow's son here, synagogue ruler's daughter there, his friend Lazarus. He raised 3 dead people that way. But that was not the way he was going to bind the strong man and to plunder his goods. Jesus didn't come to save a few. Jesus came to save the world. He didn't come to dole out personal favors to those who believe. He came to die and rise for the sins of the whole world. There on the cross, he is most Son of God, most Lord, most Savior for you, for all. And that's the Jesus faith locks in on. That's the one hanging on the cross, whose wounds are our healing, whose death is our life, whose shame is our glory, whose weakness is our strength. On the cross, power went out of him. Life went out of him. Strength and healing went out of him. And by faith, it went to you. That's where his life went. That's where his strength went. That's where his resurrection went, to you. We may feel very much like that desperate woman on the road, or Jairus with his dying little girl, helpless in this world, impotent against the forces of sin and death. We may feel that God isn't listening to all those prayers. We may wonder at times if there even is a God in heaven. Or have we just made him up like some fairy tale to get us through the difficult times? We may be tempted to hand-wringing anxiety, worry, and despair. This word today is from Jesus to you. Do not fear, only believe. Whatever it is that causes you fear, use Jesus against it. Don't focus on the source of fear. That's what makes it an idol. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Fix your faith on Jesus. That's where the power is. That's where the mercy is. That's where the Father is for you. That's where you are son and daughter in Jesus. Baptized and believing, you are God's child, and nothing can harm you. Though you die, you will live. And living and believing in Jesus, you never die. Forever. That woman on the road will tell you. Jairus will tell you. His little daughter will tell you. Peter, James, and John will tell you. And Mark is telling you. Faith in Jesus is never empty, never wasted, never without effect. Do not fear, son, daughter, child of God. Your faith will save you. Your Jesus will save you. Do not fear, just believe. In Jesus' name, amen.